This is Keala, and he is in a donut. The young prince has been struggling to refrain from licking his paws. For the sake of healing, the lady has placed a donut around his neck to prevent the irritation of licking that hinders the healing process. He is unfamiliar with this donut device and has quickly developed a look of despair wearing it. It seems as though, for some odd reason, Keala has come to believe that the donut is somewhat paralyzing, keeping him in a single place where he is unable to move. The lady reminds him that he can, indeed, move, but he's already made up his mind. He remains in the spot the donut was placed around his neck, with a deep look of sorrow written all over his face. He lifts a foot, but the donut has hold of him, and he remains in place. The lady decides, informing him he can in fact move is not enough. So she shows him through play, it is only then he understands. Thrilled at the reality that he is not in fact fixed to a single spot, he jumps and plays with excitement. After grasping that he indeed still has the freedom to move, he chooses to lay while chewing his ball. Then he decides it's time for a rest on his bed in the other room. A look of confusion still on his face. It seems the young prince has not yet come to understand that he can completely and fully relax in the donut. Frustration is now beginning to build as he holds his neck up, wrongly believing he's unable to put it down. Suddenly, something catches his attention. What could it be? He observes intently. It seems a roly-poly has entered his territory. Keala takes seriously his job as head of security. So, after a quick assessment of the situation, he decides he's going to take a closer look to ensure the roly-poly is not a threat. The roly-poly nervously walks ahead. The young prince approaches and begins to inspect, using his trusty nose to sniff out any danger and perhaps to say hello. The roly-poly, afraid of the sheer size of Keala, goes into defense and rolls into a ball for safety. Surprised at the roly-poly's ability to take shape of his favorite toys, Keala is impressed. He decides, there is no threat here, for a ball can do no harm, only good. He lets the roly-poly be. The roly-poly tries to make a run for it, but is struggling to flip over, stuck on its back. The young prince returns and lets out a sigh. It seems he feels bad for the little guy. He leans down to inspect closer and blow a gust of air in an attempt to help the roly-poly back on its feet. The roly-poly gets blown forward and Keala walks away, confident that was all the help it needed. Back on its feet, the roly-poly finds safety underneath the baseboards. The young prince has returned to the living room, sitting in the spot where the donut was originally placed on him. Listening to the sounds of the outside, he decides to move to the other side of the room. where he decides to lay. He seems to be dozing off. Suddenly, he hears a familiar sound. Smelling the air, he knows very well the sound of a delivery truck. He quickly gets up and walks to the door to take a look outside. It's a UPS truck. There must be a package coming. Keala's job as head of security entails the inspection and receiving of all packages that enter the territory. He watches closely, making sure the delivery is all in order. The UPS man arrives at the door and Keala remains calm, as the delivery man has showed no signs of a threat. He watches the driver return to his truck and is fully aware of the next step that must be taken. Getting his donut through the doorway, he begins to meticulously inspect the package and prepares it for entry into his territory.